Hello everybody, this is the final verdict, UBUNTU versus DEBIAN. As you can see, I'm back with UBUNTU version 25.04. During the time I was on UBUNTU, I bought this 4K screen by Asus, and it's a beautiful display. I mean, this screen is fucking awesome. It's a ProArt display with 4K resolution. So with DEBIAN you have outdated packages. They're very stable and they work. DEBIAN is a very good distro. But with GNOME, because you have the version 44 or something like that, the 4K scaling on it is not really up to snuff. I also started to kind of wonder about DEBIAN's security. I also started to kind of wonder about DEBIAN's credibility and trustworthiness, because it's community distro. I watched some YouTube video about corporate and community distros when I was on DEBIAN, and in that video the YouTuber said that Red Hat corporate owned Linux can't be trusted. I would kind of disagree probably with that. I tried Red Hat too, and I feel that it's a very good system. Fedora at the moment is kind of becoming a beginner distro. I would say that UBUNTU and Fedora are becoming almost as user friendly. What I like about UBUNTU compared to DEBIAN is just that you get newer packages, and the way Canonical configures the system, I dig it, because now I understand why they have done it the way they have done it. On my laptop though, I'm going to keep DEBIAN, because for an offline machine, DEBIAN is an awesome distro. I would give the final verdict like this: UBUNTU, more software availability. Out of the box, you can install DEBIAN packages, you can install UBUNTU packages, you can install snaps. On DEBIAN, you only have the DEBIAN repository there. On UBUNTU, better teaming, more up-to-date versions of the software. And in terms of the installation process, DEBIAN versus UBUNTU, I'm gonna say that UBUNTU is easier to install and installs faster, but not as fast as Fedora. Fedora is the fastest install of Linux there is right now. So if you are looking for the beginner distro, I would say that Fedora is becoming a beginner distro. I used to do a lot of donations to UBUNTU project too. I think I donated something like 200 euros to the Canonical. Okay, what about the versions then? 20.04 LTS or the LTS version of UBUNTU versus the 9-month support release. Which should you choose? Well, I would say that if you install UBUNTU for somebody else, go with LTS. That's self-explanatory. They won't be understanding properly enough to how to update the system. But for yourself, for a workstation, I would go with the more current version, the 25.04 right now. Here you have to understand that DEBIAN and UBUNTU, they are related to each other. UBUNTU is based off DEBIAN, and when you look at the system, you understand how it's done. If you have been using DEBIAN, you will understand UBUNTU much more deep if you have used DEBIAN, so it's worth to try it. And the way UBUNTU configures the repositories, the securities and the main repository, that's in the same manner as with DEBIAN. Compare that to Arch, where there's with UBUNTU, it would be also a better choice for a system that has hardware like a graphics card from NVIDIA, because the closed drivers are, I would guess, easier to set up with UBUNTU than with DEBIAN, and they would be more up to date. So if you have a very new computer, Debian 12.11. That might be too outdated for your computer. So I don't really understand though what is the relationship between Debian testing and Ubuntu. Because so I would conclude that what they are doing at Canonical with Debian and what they are doing to Debian is really good stuff. It's a really great idea though that if you are a Ubuntu user, you get into that Debian. Over here I have on my laptop Debian. For an offline computer, Debian is a great choice because you wouldn't install a rolling release distro on an offline computer. Just in case that if you sometimes plug it in online, if you sometimes decide that I'm going to update the packages, an Arch Linux computer probably would have to be updated, for example, at least once a month. Maybe even more frequent than that to avoid breaking the system. If you're not interested in Ubuntu and you think about the current distro options, I'm gonna lay it out for you over here that we end up with only a handful of Linux distros. There's so many of them, but most of them are branched from the main distros like Arch, Debian, Slackware, and Red Hat. I would also say that on Ubuntu you might not learn about Linux so much, but if you just want an operational Linux system, it's a very good choice. Thanks for watching.